All right, well, let's get started.
Kick us off.
Okay, so we are in our homegrown podcast studio, episode 1 of At Our Table. My name's Tina Sawtelle. I am your stepmother.
Yes.
52 years old, living in New Hampshire.
Yes.
And do you want to introduce yourself?
I am Lindsay Pilot, 26 years old, living in New York City, and I'm your stepdaughter. And we didn't always get along. We have a pretty relatively new relationship. I would say in the past few years.
Yeah.
Past 2,
Yeah.
3.
Yeah. Going on 3.
Is it?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't even know what year we're in. I don't do math like that, you know? And we wanted to start this podcast because as we have grown our relationship, we found that the most beneficial way was by talking to each other and having like difficult conversations about how maybe I was a bitch fucker, or how things were handled through dinner.
Yeah.
At
Over dinner.
At the dinner table.
Yeah. At our table.
At our table. And that's kind of how we've developed our relationship. So we wanted to start this show to pass that on to other people and give other people a place at our table.
You got it.
To share their stories.
That's
and
right.
Share their conversations and things that they have to say.
And the timing of this is largely connected to I've transitioned out of a full-time job that I unexpectedly. We'll talk about that down the road.
Or won't.
Or maybe not. We'll see. But started a new company, Mare & Co. You are, in a couple of short weeks, going to become the first official employee.
Woohoo!
So exciting.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you and I did a lot of brainstorming on is how to take our belief in being creative in life and embed it into this new company. And so podcasting, I think, was like came right to the came right to the surface very quickly. We're like, well, let's do a podcast.
Yeah.
And let's talk about our family.
Yeah.
And let's talk about how we've come together. So we've been playing around with this concept now for a couple months, and it's really starting to take hold. And I think one of the things we want our viewers and listeners to know is we intentionally chose to do a podcast with both video and audio, which we think is just a way more effective way to tell our stories.
Well, it's not amateur hour.
Right.
Here.
Taking this very seriously.
We're professionals.
But we are learning as we go.
So, to be transparent, because we love transparency.
Yes, we do.
We've already recorded how many? 3 episodes?
3. Yep.
So, by the time this releases, the first episode and the 3rd episode, and probably the 6th and 7th and so on, episodes will look very different than the first, or the ones before it.
You're going to see improvements in lighting. You're going to hear improvements in our audio.
Yes. And I think as we've recorded...
this is Kaden, by the way.
As we've recorded, the direction that we want to take the podcast has kind of shifted. So it might be a little more organized going forward than it is in the first couple episodes.
Yeah. But we launched the recording with your grandparents. And this is such a great example of what we're trying to accomplish. John and Tut Pilot have this beautiful love story. They will be celebrating their 70th wedding anniversary in about a year. They've been together 75 years. They are crushing this living a healthy life. At John's 90, Tut is 88. And they're like, why do you want to interview us? And we're like, because you have a beautiful story to tell. And we talk about adoption. We talk about children going through divorce. We talk about how they've sustained such a healthy relationship, but also lifestyle. Like, we think this is important to share, and it's valuable for others to hear.
Well, and we both together in our family and then also independently have gone through some pretty hard things.
Yeah.
And I know, at least for me, growing up and then also like in the more recent years, there's been so many times where I wish that there was something out there talking about the things that I've been through, because sometimes like people don't want to talk about hard stuff, and I always wish that there was someone out there that would be like, I've been through this, it's not the end of the world, you're gonna be okay, like this is what's happening, you're gonna be fine. So I think that's also the goal.
Absolutely.
Through this is for people to be able to search on YouTube or Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever, like grief or anxiety or whatever it is that they're going through, and for this to show up and them to hear normal, real people that aren't like celebrities be like, no, I get it, I know exactly what you're going through, it's gonna be okay, let me tell you about how it was for me.
And we're beautifully imperfect, you know. I feel that way as a human. I feel like we all are that way, and I think it's just being the more human we can be with just like, yep, we're on video, and I'm 52 and I've got wrinkles, and I don't, it doesn't feel glamorous sitting here for me at all.
Really?
No. For you, but this isn't about, for me, I'll just own this personally, like, this isn't about becoming a celebrity. This is about, I think people need to start communicating more and understanding each other first and foremost, before you go to judge or criticize or feel like they're on that side, I'm on this side.
And I think especially with everything going on in the world, but then also just like celebrity and influencer culture, there's a lot of people saying nothing. There's a lot of people being like, this is the lipstick that I used today. Not that that's a bad thing.
Which we enjoy every now and then to get those tips, but
for as much as people talk about that stuff, they also should be talking about real life issues and hardships. Yeah. And people are so quick to jump on people online or on TV or whatever it is, and like criticize those people and like beat them down without ever thinking, okay, maybe they've gone through something in their life. Yeah. Maybe they've gone through grief, or they are going through an eating disorder or whatever it is. And people are so quick to like harp on people in such a negative way. And I think one of my favorite things is like trying to understand people and trying to hear what you went through as a child, and that's why you're like this. Right. And my mom always is like, stop analyzing me. Stop analyzing me. But I think it's so important to understand people, and that's how you grow relationships and connections. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be, I was saying this the other day, it doesn't have to be the same situations that you go through, but like the worst day of your life is the worst day of your life. So the worst day of your life is different than the worst day of my life, but I know what it's like to be sad or hurt or grieving, so I can relate to you on a human level. And that's what we want to.
Yeah. Showing empathy. Yeah. Having compassion. Remembering everybody hurts and is sad and is anxious or frustrated in their own ways for their own reasons. So I think we're going to get there based on I think we're going to achieve some really good things out of this podcast. Yeah. We've done, as you already said, a couple recordings so far. And some beautiful things is that we're getting the life story of family members, which will be a keepsake for us as a family and our extended family. But in all of that storytelling, it is getting to what you just said, which is, how have these individuals or couples traversed life, and how do they think about living a happy life?
And there's so much noise, like, not to give too much away, but in the conversation with my grandparents, I asked them, what do you look for? Or what advice would you give somebody looking for
great question,
their partner?
Yeah.
And my grandma was like, I don't know, someone that makes you feel good. And I was like, no, seriously, it's so simple, but there's so much noise now where it's like on TikTok and on everything, there's so much noise of people being like, you need to feel this way and you need to do this and think this and don't do this. And it is so simple. Yeah, marry someone that makes you feel good.
Yeah. The other thing too, I think we're working on is trying to ask some of the harder questions.
Mm-hmm.
And meaning, you asked me a question like, why did you and my dad choose to get married when you got married? Like that, because that hurt me, right? That was like a really pointed, specific question. And we've talked about that. We're talking with people about, why they went through divorce. We're talking with our family members and friends about what it has felt like to experience grief, loss. These are not necessarily everyday questions that come up. People can brush over them, or they're afraid to get into them. And we've even been a little like, oh boy, how do we broach the subject as we're doing our interviews? But there's some really beautiful stories that are coming out of that discomfort. And I'm a big believer in learning to be comfortable with the discomfort of life. We talked about it last night, like conflict in relationship. This is another variation of this, but like having conflict in relationship is really important, because it tests, can you get to the other side of it? Does it actually make the relationship stronger?
Yeah. And not even just conflict, but just being open and transparent. And I think in today's age, I just feel like there's so many rules where it's like, okay, you're going on a first date, don't talk about this. Don't bring this up. Wait until the third date. And I feel like if anyone's watching has ever been on a date with me, I'm like, no, so tell me about your father. Like, how did him leaving impact you? And I think...
You go right there.
I go right there. And I think that it's like, yeah, how are we supposed to build relationships with one another if all we're talking about is the easy surface level stuff and we're too scared to ask those...
That's right.
Nosier, harder questions.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to get into. And I think we've covered that this is part of Mare & Co. I'm not sure if I've said the company name yet. Okay, so Mare & Co. is our new company. And our podcasting project here is going to be under the Mare Creative umbrella, which is an arm or a division of the company. And we hope to be able to do multiple seasons of the At Our Table podcast. So we'll see where that takes us. But certainly it will serve as an important creative outlet for both of us, and maybe connect with others, as you hope it will, who are searching for people who have gone through similar things in life.
I think looking forward into like future seasons, the content that we film will kind of show us where we need to go.
And you are driving that vision, because I'm a planner, and so you've already seen all my lists and my spreadsheets and ideas, and like, let's begin to schedule it out.
I hate planning.
Right. And so this is your opportunity to say, no, let's take it in this direction, let's slow it down, let's wait, let's hear what comes from these conversations, and then we'll take the next step after that. And so I'm game. I'm game. I love the kind of the structure of our relationship, stepmother, stepdaughter. The age difference too is something that I love in what we have in our family, but what we're doing with this project and what we're doing in the business for Mare & Co. I was telling your dad this week, I put something to you, I put a question to you, and you answer with such confidence that I'm like, good, done. That's what we're doing.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
And I mean that in, like, that is not just like, I need to move quickly. There's something about you that I'm instantly drawn to, in an instant respect and trust of your intuition. I think is very strong, great common sense. You're worldly. You've got opinions, perspectives on things. So, I mean, and there might be times in the future where we're going to do this and be like, no, we're not.
Yeah.
But we're going to, get through that and
Yeah.
stuff. But I wanted to make sure I shared that with you because
Thank you.
it's part of the joy that I'm finding in this journey is having somebody so young and vibrant as part of my next chapter.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because half the time I'm like, what do I know? Like, I might present as that way, but inside I'm like, I don't know. Like, this is just like what I feel. Hopefully it works.
And if we make a decision and it's like rooted in, your initial thought and it doesn't work out, my way of life is like, well, okay, we tried that.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to tack out or pivot and do something different. But it's like, I like being decisive. A lot of people who know me, I'm, I like to take action and I like to move forward. And I really do value input and data and information. And that's a lot to do with the company that I'm forming. But moving quickly and being decisive, I think, is an awesome skill. Mm-hmm. You've got it. You're 26 and you've got really strong instincts on that.
Thank you. Oh my God, this is turning into like
my
birthday speech. I was gonna say about you, I think that even through these interviews, people will see like I'm very scatterbrained and ADHD, and I think that we share the same like common themes that anchor us. Like, we're both very analytical. Mm-hmm. We both like to keep things going and like move right along and be decisive. But you're definitely more structured than I am, which I need. Yeah. And even through these conversations, but also just like in life, you're very, we're going to plan this out. Yeah. And I'm very, but like, let's just like see what happens. Yeah. I think it's a good blend. And it balances it out. Yeah. I think it's a good blend. Because I think you need both in life. I agree. Your dad's not a planner. So maybe, it's probably from your dad. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that gives our viewers and listeners some insights into what we're trying to do here. Yeah. How do you feel about it? I feel good. How do you feel? I'm very excited. Me too. I think this has been pushing me into a uncomfortable place. Mm-hmm. Like, because I don't love being on camera. I love talking with people. Mm-hmm. I love interviewing people. I've done that, quite a bit in my career. So that's exciting. I love learning all this new technology. Mm-hmm. But I'll be honest, like, I'm like, oh my God, I have to be recorded. Like, I don't love that. Mm-hmm. So that's the then we have to put it out and people get to talk about it. Right. I know. And that's the piece of like, I'm just, for anybody listening and watching this right now, I'm sure you all will have opinions, about what we're doing. Fair. But, we're doing this more to build human connections. Yeah, send the link in your group chat. We'll get more views. And if you hate us, screw you. You're wrong. Fuck off. What she said. Okay, that's a wrap. Episode 1. End scene. Woohoo.